people. Curtis, you good?
Yeah, I'm just hiding my phone because Mikel's got pickpocketers lurking on it. You know what I mean? I want to make sure I go home with it. So.
If you haven't all seen it, I think it was in The Athletic. Mikel Arteta, I think at a dinner or something, was it?
Yeah.
He had professional pickpockets.
I want to know where he sourced those from.
Well, I don't know.
How do
All
you
I
go
know,
out and source a team of pickpockets?
he was nicking things off the players as a message to say, basically stay alert at all times. We're winning the league, aren't we, Tosh? I mean, that's the only conclusion I can
Well, if that, what is it, magician or whatever, pickpocket is going to bang in 20 for us in the league, then I'm sure we will. What's his name?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's something I find.
Could I just clarify? So what is the motivation behind this, do you think?
I think the idea is like, always be alert, always be aware. I don't know. Listen, Arteta knows.
Or maybe
far more
I was thinking,
but
maybe there's a serious side to it. Maybe he's like, maybe it's happened before to one or two players, and the message is you've got to be alert because there is a security risk. I mean, there's a lot of information in these players' phones. If it gets into the wrong hands, there could be a lot of information there that could either embarrass the club or the player or both.
I feel like that'd be worse if
Yeah,
that was.
yeah.
I'd rather it was just a bit of fun.
Yeah,
to send a message rather than guys.
Maybe it was a,
We're really dealing with the leaks now. We
Yeah,
don't want
yeah.
anything out there. We're going to make sure you've got your phones on lock. But look, listen, Arteta, it's not the first time he's done some interesting sort of things to try and keep just to get a message across to the team. From my perspective, I just find it quite funny. Of course, people will mock and ridicule, have their fun with it. Is what it is. Arteta,
you know what I was thinking?
just
I
keeping
did say
them awake.
this to you guys off camera, is that it's one of those things that if we go on and win the league, people will be writing books in years to come and say, like, he's the mad professor, come out with all these off-the-ball ways of thinking.
On that though, just now I was in my car and TalkSport was on. Not often I listen to them, but it was on. And they was like, is Arteta the David Brent of managers, yeah? And I get that on one hand, yeah, but does Arteta actually get the respect he deserves as well? And this is coming from someone who doubted him a lot. And before people say he hasn't won nothing and all that yet, what I just mean is if Pep Guardiola was in Germany with Bayern and Arteta did this with a Dortmund, went close a couple of times, pushed him 90 plus points and whatever, a lot of English clubs would be looking over saying, hey, that might be the next one up. But it feels like because he's at Arsenal, and obviously our fan base, I get it, online they annoy me a lot, let alone opposition fans, but it just feels like he doesn't, because he finished above Klopp twice, and again, it's not success. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the man in like what we all expected, me included. Finished above Klopp twice within his first 4 years of management.
I actually totally agree.
Do you get what I'm saying? If we're outside looking in, it looks a bit. A lot of
The
teams
only
would want
thing I
him.
think you would say with Dortmund, like we know Dortmund financially are nowhere near Bayern. So I think even competing with Bayern for them is kind of
But it's the same with us and Man City though.
But I reckon if you looked at what he's spent since he's been here, I bet Man City's is very similar.
Yeah,
The amount
but
of money.
But then the argument is that obviously he comes in to build off nothing, whereas Pep built off a title
stronger team.
winning
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, I
that,
get
It's a
you
very
know,
different
so-
platform. Very different platform. I think you're right, and I've always thought that the disrespect's there, not just because of kind of what he has achieved without it obviously being the ultimate success and all that. I often think the things he has done right, where it has been a little bit more mad professor, and people haven't given him the credit. So, okay, I guess tactics isn't a mad professor thing, but the Zinchenko left-back thing, people always go, yeah, but Guardiola was inverting fullbacks before that. It's like, yeah, but Arteta came and what he did with Zinchenko at left-back, he pushed that even further. Like, he wasn't just, tuck in your fullbacks. He was like, you're literally our central midfielder from left-back. Then he moved on to the centre-backs at fullback thing. Now Guardiola's doing it, everyone kind of sees it as Arteta copying Pep, but it was Liverpool at home, Salah on the right wing, and Tomiyasu shoved out there as kind of the first time I saw, at least in the last 5 years, a manager of a team that had lots of possession to adopt that kind of approach. So there are certain things where I agree with you, like he doesn't really get the respect he deserves for the somewhat, I know they're built off other ideas and maybe other Pep ideas, but the somewhat innovative things he has done, I don't think he's often got the credit for that either, to be honest.
Yeah, people are knocking for the Pep thing, but again, it's because it's Arsenal, really. Because if it's La Liga we're watching it in, if it's Bundesliga, if it's Serie A where Pep Guardiola is managing the side at the top, and then the next managers of his ilk learned under him, playing similar football but challenging for 2 years, it's a shock as well. Let's not forget, it wasn't 2 years ago, people weren't expecting Arsenal to be challenging for anything. you know, in terms of what we was doing in the window with the Ben Whites and me included. So I just think it's
I think the whole Arteta thing is that he's clearly one of those very meticulous, sort of fastidious, attention to detail freak type managers that analyses every detail, and his approach to football is, you know, you can imagine that he thinks about the game 24/7. It must be a nightmare to live with. And these ideas that he comes up with, they just come from left field. And as I said before, if we go on and win the title, people say, yeah, this guy, he's a bit crazy, but, you know, he's a real deal. If we don't, on the other hand, then there's the tendency to ridicule.
That Liverpool you'll never walk alone thing. If it was me there, I'd be like, what the hell is this? But if Robbie comes out that door now and says, check your pockets and I've lost my wallet and stuff, and then some guy comes and robbed me during this transfer show, I'd be like, motherfucker, like, what the hell? Do you know what I mean? So that would be they're not learning nothing off that. They're not going to be on the pitch thinking about their phone in their pocket. It's just more of a fun activity that I guess bridges that gap between manager and player, because sometimes you have to show them he's young as well, but there's a balance.
Well, I think it might have been James McNicholas, aka Gunnerblog, who said this podcast on the Athletic, I can't remember, but like, managers they're the ones delivering the message all the time. Like, it's always them, pre-match, post-match, training, whatever. Now, yes, there's other coaches that take certain areas. We got to see an open training session. Arteta was quite far from it, wasn't he? He was there watching, but he wasn't sort of one-to-one with the players as much. So, of course, there's other voices via the coaching. But look at, like, from the All or Nothing documentary, when it was Stuart MacFarlane who did the pre-match for the Tottenham game. I think the point Gunnerblog was making was, you've got to find different ways to get the message across, because this is now his 5th full season. Like, as much as we're talking about, well, now's the year you've got to do it, he's probably thinking that himself. And the players are probably, like, very accustomed to this voice now. So there are other ways you've got to get the message across and sort of get different ideas to your players and kind of keep them on their toes all the time, because it can, dare I say, go stale even before you've even won anything. So maybe that kind of explains it a little bit. But, I mean, look at Tottenham and Pochettino. Like, we hate to say it, but they did get fairly close. You know, they pushed some teams quite far. They got some semi-finals, finals, but they never got over the line before it got stale, and ultimately the ideas run out. So maybe that's part of it as well, just kind of keeping things always, I don't know, fresh and different and somewhat.
It's definitely different.
It's definitely different. But Robbie, if you're watching, we don't really want this experiment on us, please. I
don't mind that.
You know,
it'd be interesting to see if we catch them out, innit?
Well, let's Nick touch his laptop. See what happens.
You can imagine there'll be quite a few jokes going around this season about that.
Yeah.
The meme's already been prepared.
If it doesn't work out, people will be.
The meme's already been prepared. Trust me.
Yeah.
But hey, watch this space.
Right, let's go to the main talking point of the day, and Fabrizio Romano.
I thought that was it.
Thanks for watching, guys. For tuning in, people. Hope you've enjoyed it. Next week on In Focus.